Hey, what's going on? It's your boy BT, and I came here to talk some boxing with the thousands of True School Sports subscribers. Now, word to my brethren, St. Louis, Missouri. Shout out to people over there in St. Louis. But we had a great fight this Saturday between Vasyl Lomachenko and Jorge Linares. You know, from start to finish, just a fantastic fight. Had everything. It had knockdowns. It had flash combinations. It had defense. It had, just boxing smarts, boxing IQ on display. It was the kind of fight that if I had to show someone who's not a boxing fan a fight of boxing, it was one of those fights that I would show that fan. I kind of did that in a way. Shout out to my boy Juan Pablo. He watched the fight this week, so he enjoyed it. But Vasyl Lomachenko on Saturday night, he pretty much just proved why myself, many boxing fans, and many boxing experts believe that he is the best fighter in all of boxing. Just number one. Skill-wise, number one. And the resume, I believe, backs it up. The amount of quality fighters he's fought, in such a short period of time and beat, and just the way he's beat them and made them quit and reduced them, I don't want to say it's unheard of, but I can't really remember too many runs like this in boxing history. From a guy who comes into the sport immediately just starts dominating, amateur experience or not, it's hard. Amateurs and pros is differently. Like it's just different. It's a different game. So the fact that he's coming here and he's doing it the way he's done it, it's very, very impressive to me and a lot of other people. Now, let me say this. I had Lomachenko as the best fighter in boxing after the Rigondeaux fight. I thought the way he was able to make Rigondeaux look like such an average fighter was very impressive. I thought regardless of the fact he was going to win, just because Rigondeaux, I don't believe. First of all, I believe Rigondeaux was too chinny because he's shown a bad chin in the past. He's too chinny. He was too inactive. And it was too much of a jump for him. I knew those things. But what impressed me was the fact that there was Rigondeaux had no success the whole fight. I cannot pick 10 seconds of that fight where Rigondeaux won. And that to me is impressive because size or not, I can name you guys at least 2 or 3 fights in the last couple of years where a guy jumped up weight classes and he won a round. He won a round against a much bigger fighter. You had like the Kell Brook Golovkin fight, the Canelo Khan fight. Fights like that, just fights like that, where the weight classes, the weight is going to play a major factor, but the smaller man is still winning a round. So the fact that a guy like Rigondeaux, who had as much experience as he did, and just how good he is as a fighter, couldn't even win 10 seconds of a fight. Just how could I not put that guy number one? On top of the other performances he had put together up to that point, with the likes of Walters, Gary Russell Jr. So I just think for me, the Linares fight for me just proved more of what I already thought going into the fight, that he is the best fighter in boxing. Because, and let me tell you what it is that I learned new about Lomachenko in this fight, and this is why I like when fighters get put in fights and that where they're gonna have to go through a little bit of adversity. He got knocked down in the 6th round. Okay, he is the smaller man in the ring. He's a smaller man who was the favorite by a wide margin going into the ring. He got knocked down by a very, very top-level fighter in Jorge Linares. The thing that impressed me the most about Lomachenko was his composure, his ability to even after the knockdown, he stuck to his game plan. He stayed in the pocket, and he found the shot. He found that liver shot that ultimately put Linares down in that 9th or 10th round or whatever it was. And it's crazy because like I'm going to use Andre Ward as an example. A lot of people on YouTube love Andre Ward. Okay, a lot of Andre Ward fans here on YouTube. They gave him a lot of credit for going to Kovalev and taking the fight 2 in the second fight, and he should get the credit for at least taking the fight 2 Kovalev in the second fight, albeit as I believe a controversial stoppage. But he got credit for taking the fight to Kovalev. So it is what it is. They said it was legendary performance. They said it was this. They said it was that. But it was. Let's be honest with ourselves. It was on a much smaller stage. As far as like how important. In terms of how much exposure it got. Like Lomachenko Linares was a big fight. It was at Madison Square Garden, the arena at Madison Square Garden. I don't know if it's sold out, but it looked like it on television. And that's. And as far as America goes, it don't really get much bigger than that, Matt. A main event in Madison Square Garden, it's pretty damn big. So for Lomachenko to just like have the composure on that stage after getting knocked down, after being the smaller man in the ring, with the pressure of getting the W because he was the favorite, For him to still find the shot and maintain his composure through all that, that to me shows just what level he's at as a fighter, and that's at the top level. Because anybody can look great when they're beating up on inferior opposition. But when you fight someone who is somewhat of note, and he could put you and ask some questions of you that maybe you never been asked of in the ring, and you can still maintain composure and whatever the game plan was before the fight, maintain that and carry that fight plan out throughout the majority of the fight, throughout the rest of the fight. That to me is what's the mark of a great fighter. That's the mark of a great fighter. And whether you guys want to acknowledge it or not, y'all can say I'm overhyping him and whatnot, but Lomachenko is becoming he is becoming a legendary fighter before our very eyes. Now, obviously, there's still a lot of chapters in his career that got to be written. People are going to claim it for the Mikey Garcia fight. People are going to claim it for the Gervonta Davis fight. People might want. I heard a couple of people say they want him to go back down to 130 and fight Miguel Berchelt. Some people want to see him fight Ray Beltran. There's options for Vasyl Lomachenko, and there's plenty of chapters he's written. And who's to say that his next fight he doesn't lose? We don't know. It's boxing. Anything can happen, as we saw this past fight with Linares. But let's just acknowledge greatness when we see it. This guy is one of the best fighters I've probably ever seen in my life. And I want to tell you guys this, okay? For those of you who've been following me for any amount of time, you guys know that I love Roman Gonzalez. Roman Gonzalez is probably my favorite fighter of all time, and I'm dying to see him fight again. But I'm not going to kid myself. I know Roman Gonzalez probably he's not going to ever reach the level he was once at because he's just older. He's taking a lot of punishment. Understandable. When Roman Gonzalez fought Carlos Cuadras in 2016, he was the number one guy, he was the bigger man, and he was moving up a weight class with no tune-ups to fight this guy. Lomachenko just did the same thing Roman Gonzalez did and stopped the guy. And I remember I hyped up Roman Gonzalez to no end for doing that to Cuadras, for beating Cuadras the way he did in a fight that was just so exciting and so great for the sport. Was Fight of the Year candidate. So if I'm going to give Roman Gonzalez credit for that, I got to give Lomachenko credit for doing that in just as impressive, if not more impressive fashion I want to say more impressive fashion because how many times, I want you guys to ask yourself, when was the last time you watched a big fight and you saw a fighter stop another fighter with a liver shot? Just a one-punch liver shot. I can't really remember a fight where that's happened recently. Like the stoppage of Linares for Lomachenko was kind of reminiscent of when Bernard Hopkins fought Oscar De La Hoya. Remember when he stopped Oscar De La Hoya with that liver shot? It was something similar to that. I don't think it was as devastating as Hopkins' liver shot because Hopkins' liver shot left Oscar on that canvas for quite some time. But Linares, the liver shot of Linares, he was able to get on his feet. He just couldn't beat the count. So, obviously, B-Hops was more devastating. We acknowledge that. But I'm saying it's the same type of thing. You're fighting a big fight against another top-level fighter, and you stop him with a one-punch liver shot. So, I don't know what else this guy has to do. I really don't. Maybe if maybe some people want to see him unify titles first. Maybe some people think he needs to fight Mikey Garcia first. I don't know. But for me, and with looking at the entire landscape of boxing, I just don't see anybody fighting top-level opposition in different weight classes and beating them the way Lomachenko is beating them. Until I see that, it's going to be really hard for me to put anybody above him. I know you could say too, like Gennady Golovkin has an argument too to be number one because of the fact that he's had probably the most, he's had a very historic middleweight title reign. So you can't discredit Gennady. If you want to play him number one, I have no problems with that. You have Terrence Crawford, who a lot of people rate highly, who went undisputed last year. But the whole gripe with him is that he fought what many people deem as inferior opposition, but he's just showing so much skill throughout the process, so they want to give him credit for that. I ain't got no problem with that because, he went undisputed. And going back and rewatching some of my older videos when I was talking about Crawford back in 2016, there were a lot of fights that people weren't sure he was going to win. A lot people want to say, well, Victor Postol is this now, but back then Victor Postol was looked at as a real true challenge to Terrence Crawford, and Terrence Crawford made it look pretty easy. So when you get a guy like that who fights the other best guy in his division and makes it look easy, he's definitely a pound for pound fighter of the highest order. So you got to at least put Terrence Crawford in your top three. And if you want to put him number one, then you put him number one because the pound for pound is subjective anyway. But for me, just Lomachenko, man, I don't really see anybody doing what he's doing in boxing right now. It's the same reasons I think he's pound for pound number one, or the same reasons I think Roman Gonzalez is pound for pound number one. He's dominating top level fighters in different weight classes like no other fighter's doing in boxing right now. And for that, you got. If I'm gonna reward Roman Gonzalez, I gotta reward Lomachenko. So, yeah. My power pound list will be out soon. I don't know, probably later on this week. And it should be fun to see the reactions. But yeah, Lomachenko, man, just a great fight, and I think even more. He showed us more in that fight than he did in any of his previous ones. So let me know what you guys think. What do you have, Lomachenko? Do you think all this pound for pound king talk is still too premature, or do you think finally now he's earned your respect, or what does he got to do? Because if he's not already, like my question to you guys, the skeptics out there, what does Lomachenko got to do to become the pound for pound king of boxing? Because I'll tell you what, because for those of you guys who say like, oh, BT, you hit on Terrence Crawford, which I don't, but I was frustrated about how the whole Jeff Warren thing played out. Terrence Crawford, to me, he just needs to dominate 147. Simple as that. You know, he's dominated 135, he's dominated 140, and looked great doing it. But now he's in a weight class where he's going to fight guys who are bigger than him and that are either his size or bigger than him. So to now, for me, it's like we're going to see how good Terrence Crawford truly is, and that's what he has to do for me. Just dominate 147. You do that, you know, I'm going to have to put you number one at some point. But yeah, let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Take the time to subscribe. Like I say in every video, you can love me or you can hate me, but I'm just a kid from Dane. So until next time, take care, guys.